Welcome to this week's episode of Cooking with Connie. This week we're going to do another Chef approved recipe, and this is going to be a sesame chicken. So what I have here, I just got some chicken tenders, chopped them up into small chunks. I've got one egg that I've beaten, and we're going to add some stuff to that. So in the egg, I'm going to use, now the original recipe called for mayo. So instead of mayo, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. So when you're doing substitutions, when you're on the shape program, just kind of think about things that are about the same consistency. Mayo is a little tangy, the Greek yogurt's a little tangy, so I think this is going to work out great. And then it said to use 3 tablespoons of a gluten-free flour. So we are going to use the arrowroot because, again, that's another approved thing on the shape program. So we're going to use 3 tablespoons of arrowroot. This is going to kind of thicken this up nice so that it'll actually coat the chicken well. All right, and then we're going to just put a little bit of salt. And I mean just a little bit, because when you're using the Celtic sea salt, there's a lot of flavor there. So you don't really need too much. And I really prefer to use that after I cook. And then we're going to put just a little bit of ground pepper into this mix. All right, so we're just going to whisk this up. And once we get it mixed up, then what we're going to do is we're going to put our chicken in here and get it all coated. Then I have crushed up my nut thins and my NutriBullet. So this is our breading that we're going to put on the outside of it. So, and I've got my oven on. I'm going to do it air fryer mode, but if you don't have air fryer option, just put it in the oven. All right, so we're just going to throw all the chicken in here. Mix it together. And that's going to help that coating stick, and with that egg in there, it's going to help it crisp up nice. All right. And then we'll just start taking and putting it in our breading here. And then we'll spread it out on our pan. And I've got the parchment paper on there that's going to keep it from sticking to your, so you won't lose. The problem you get it into a lot of times is when you're doing the coatings and you're not using something like parchment, you lose a lot of your coating onto your surface of your pan. So this way it'll help us kind of keep that. All right, so I'm just going to bread these up like this. Then I'm going to spritz them with just a little bit of olive oil spray. This again will help with kind of our browning process, so we'll just use a little bit of olive oil spray. So I'm going to continue this process, cover my sheet here, then we're going to pop it in the oven for a little bit. I've got 350 on the air fryer, so we'll kind of let you know how that comes out as far as timing goes. So we'll be back once these get cooked up, when we get ready to do the sauce that's going to go on the sesame chicken. So we'll see you back in just a little bit. Okay guys, now we're at the process where we're going to make the sauce that's going to go with our sesame chicken. We've got it still in the air fryer. So what I'm going to start with is my chicken broth. It calls for 1.5 cups of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 cup in my pan and start heating it. And then I'm going to put 1/2 cup in my bowl over here, because I've got 3 tablespoons of the arrowroot. Now anytime I'm trying to add something like that to a dish that's hot, in order to avoid the clumping, it's better to add some of your liquid to the actual arrowroot before you put it in there, and that way you can kind of make sure it's going to be nice and smooth when we do that. Okay, so we are going to add some apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of that. And you could use an approved balsamic vinegar if you wanted, but I just happen to have apple cider vinegar at home, so I decided to do that. We're also going to use 3 tablespoons of our coconut aminos. Just a second, put that timer to be quiet. Our chicken is browning very nice in there. And then this is something that a lot of people probably haven't used. It's tahini, and this is allowed. You can have a tablespoon of this a day. This is basically just a sesame butter type thing. So I'm using that in place of my sesame oil in this recipe. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of my tahini in there. And then we're going to use some garlic powder. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle that in. I don't think you could ever get too much garlic. It says to use a teaspoon of it, so I don't have a teaspoon over here, so I'm just going to put some in there. And then we're going to just start heating this up, and I'll stir this. Once this gets to kind of a really hot temperature, then I'll add that to thicken it. And then I'm going to use some monk fruit to sweeten it to our taste, okay? So whatever approved sweetener that you want to use to kind of make this a sweet sauce. So we'll be back when this gets done and our chicken gets done, and we'll start combining this up, and we're going to have a really yummy lunch today. Okay, but guys, we're back. Here is our finished product here. So we decided today we would serve it over our Hearts of Palm palmini noodles, and we basically rinsed those. We put them in milk for about an hour, rinsed them off, and then we put them in the coconut aminos, and you can let that soak for as long as you wanted. And then we just cooked those in the coconut aminos. So that's our base. We've got our chicken that we put on top here. This is our sesame sauce, and it's nice and thick. And then we added a little sesame seed on top. So this is a really nice treat, something a little different for you with some different flavors, using some different ingredients. Because the big thing with Shape is you don't want to eat the same thing all the time. So experiment a little bit. Find those recipes that you really like. And this wasn't that hard to do. And this chicken recipe that we used here, you could really use that for about anything. This sauce would be a great dipping sauce for your meats and stuff too. So everything is Shape approved here. So remember, this is Cooking with Connie this week for a Shape approved recipe. Remember, like, share, subscribe. We need those subscribers up there. We're getting close to the 800 mark, guys. We love it. So remember this week, make some good choices out there, and see you soon.